It's time to share secrets and insights from fellow entrepreneurs. If you're looking to grow or start a business and you're a game changer, then keep listening to Avanti Entrepreneur for great advice from your host, Dave Mammano, America's entrepreneur coach.
Hey, Avanti Tribe, Dave Mammano here. Just want to thank our sponsor, Paychex. You know, Paychex, they make it simple for businesses of all sizes to pay and manage their team. They make payroll easy with employee pay options, including direct deposit, checks, pay cards, and so much more. Founded over 4 decades ago to relieve the complexity of running a business so that the owners can focus on what matters most. Above all else, and more than any other company, Paychex makes it simple. Visit AvantiEntrepreneurGroup.com. Go to our partner link and check them out. They're offering you a free month of payroll just for giving them a shot as an Avanti Tribe member. Give them a shot, folks. They really help this podcast to be possible. Really appreciate Paychex. Now, enjoy the show. Hello and welcome to the Avanti Entrepreneur Podcast. I am Dave Mammano, your host, and we are here to help achievers and business owners and leaders move forward so that they can reach their potential. I do this by interviewing the nation's best business movers and shakers. Today I have on the show not only an incredible business mover and shaker, but a very good personal friend, David Ragosa. David, welcome to Avanti.
Fantastic, and I appreciate the awesome introduction, Dave. I really do.
Very, very excited to have you on the show. So, Dave, I'm gonna do a quick little. Not even gonna read it because I know you so well. You are a great longtime business entrepreneur leader, multiple businesses involving. We're going to talk about it a little bit, but fitness, technology, and most recently, 2 things that I love: pizza and Avanti. Yes, you are our Avanti Regional Director in New Jersey. Doing a great job down there and just started another group with another business associate of yours. That's fantastic. We're going to talk about that. But David, we met, on LinkedIn. So one of the great benefits of LinkedIn, you saw what I was doing with Avanti, reached out to me, wanted to learn more. And we decided to make an Avanti Regional Director, got a group going down there. So thank you for that. But the reason why you are doing this is because you want to give back. You've had great success as an entrepreneur. You've learned a lot about sales, marketing, franchising, and just business overall. So you're ready to give back and help others. So thank you for that. But you also not only do Avanti, you currently, your main gig, we'll say, is this really super cool company. I love it. It's called Kono, K-O-N-O, and it is all about pizza, but not the way we know pizza. David, why don't you explain why it's called Kono and the I'll say disruptive part of the pizza industry that you are taking part in?
So, going to Kono and Kono Pizza, the word Kono in Italian means cone. So, me and I call my best friend, my brother, my partner, Carlo, we started Kono Pizza US in the United States several years ago, and it's thin crust pizza rolled up in a cone, but it's traditional pizza dough. It's not a bread dough. It's not an ice cream cone that people might think. It's actually, if you took a thin sliced pizza and rolled it up and filled it with cheese and sauce and other ingredients, you would come up with Kono Pizza. And in essence, that's what we really came up with. And you made a good word, kind of disrupting the market. That's ideally what we wanted to do, right? Because who doesn't love pizza? Everyone loves pizza. When you're 5 years old, or if you're 75 years old, everyone loves pizza. We wanted to bring something new, fresh, unique to the market, a portable item that you could walk in. Let's be honest, today everyone's on their cell phone. So now you could talk on your cell phone and eat a Kono Pizza. You could be on the New Jersey Transit or a subway or walking through the airport or jumping onto a plane and eating a Kono Pizza. That ideally was what we really wanted to do, was just change the way America eats pizza one cone at a time.
And, in fact, I was just in Burlington, Vermont, Jim Fogler, we have an Avanti chapter up there, and had a little time around lunchtime. So I was hungry, but I didn't want a big meal. So let me get a slice, right? I stop at a local pizza shop, get a slice, and then walk outside. And it was just really clunky to eat it, right? It was like a big piece. The crust was like falling over, and I had to like stop and But I'm just picturing now with you with the Kono, it literally is a cone of crust and whatever type of pizza you want on the inside, and I could just carry it around, like you said. I could carry it around if I'm at a marketplace, a city, a mall, a sports event. I imagine you're doing some good franchising within some stadiums.
That's really it. Dave, not to cut you off, but that is really, you said it best is. And there's nothing wrong with thin sliced pizza, right? We still eat thin sliced pizza, but you're still using two hands, and it's not something you can kind of walk around with, or it's not enjoyable at a ballpark as easy. If you're drinking a beer, you could hold a Kono pizza. If you're on your cell phone, you can hold a Kono pizza. If you're a mom and you're strolling through the park with a stroller, you can hold a Kono pizza and still stroll your carriage or hold your son or daughter's hands, right? That's ideally the image, and what we're really trying to achieve is just that. And the last point I make is really where I knew Kono had legs and was really going to take it off is when we were testing it out several years ago. I had several fans and family come in, and I had, my son, my daughter, who were very young at the time. And I told my wife, just give them the cone. Don't say anything. Don't let them, hey, this is how you're supposed to eat it. Just give the child the cone. And what I saw quickly was, what kid doesn't know how to eat a cone, right? So it's just like eating ice cream. It's almost, natural for them to eat that cone. And they were walking around playing and eating a cone. And the beautiful thing as a parent was it wasn't messy, right? I know when I go to pizzerias and I go to pizza stores with my kids, you're cutting it in 10 little pieces. You got to cut it with the cutter because there's cheese and sauce is dripping everywhere. It's just not, I'm not saying it's not enjoyable, but it's there's just stains all over their shirts. It's not a great experience where Kono is that fantastic, great experience that you have with your kids. And that's really where the light bulb kind of went off and said, all right, we really have something here that has legs that can really go into every, American's home.
I love it. So did you see it being done in Italy and then you brought it to the U.S.?
Correct. So my partner was overseas, over in Italy, visiting family. We myself included, we have a ton of family in Italy. During that process, he ran into kind of a local pizza guy in the corner outside of Naples, doing thin crust, doing pizza cones. And he called me immediately and said, listen, I found our next biggest thing that I want to kind of bring here to the States. Because at that time also we were kind of exiting from a different business, figuring out what our next venture was going to be. And we wanted something to really, we wanted to build a real great foundation and build a true company, build something that was going to be long lasting and legacy for our kids and our kids' kids was really the goal. So as he called me, we kind of looked at it, we evaluated it, we saw the opportunity. And also at that time, going back, especially about 5 years ago now, the American population, and we were all kind of shifting to quick serve, fast casual was kind of the new word, right? Everyone was fast casual and quick serve restaurants now. No one was like we were probably raised, sitting down at a table with your family eating dinner. That's just not the norm anymore, right? Or it's rare, I should say. So we saw this product really being, again, unique, fresh, mobile, and portable, which is the most important thing. And I said, all right, this is definitely a U.S. concept. Even though it was the cone was traditionally made in Italy, we were like, oh, we can definitely take this to the States, make it a franchise system, and develop it. And in essence, that's what we did. Well,
you're in good company because I know another gentleman who went to Italy and brought back a great idea and started franchising. And his name is Howard Schultz. You may have heard of Starbucks. If you've read his book or one of his books, he talks about that, he got the idea just going to Italy in the 70s, I think late 70s, and seeing their coffee shops and all that stuff, and just like saw that they were not only drinking coffee, they were getting an experience, right? And he said, we can do this with Starbucks. So brought back that experience, right? So, and obviously he's doing quite well with franchising. Actually, he's not franchised, right? His are all corporate, but still doing quite well. And now might be, who knows, might be running for president. So I look forward to voting for you someday, Dave. No, I love it. So you brought it back, and I love the story here. So what happened? So you and Carlo, what happened? Did you like just open up a retail store in a mall or a cart? How did you get it going?
So we bring it back here to the States, and coming from our traditional Italian roots, and family from Italy, and Carlo's actually familiar as well. We went to a brick and mortar, which is like a storefront model, right? A traditional pizza store, and we bombed, right? And it wasn't as successful as we thought it was going to be. Spent a ton of money developing it, proof out the concept, opening up. That was our first corporate store before we even tried to franchise it. And, the reason really we found that was, Kono Pizza is, again, I go back to uniqueness, the fresh, the portability, is a grab and go, high foot traffic concept, meaning it had to be in ballparks, stadiums, universities, colleges, airports, malls, beer and wine festivals. That's really the space that where we live today is where we should have lived. But coming from our background, right, we thought everyone was going to come sit down like us and our friends and family and sit down for an hour, have lunch, have dinner. But that, again, is not the normal consumer, the American consumer, I should say. So, we realized quickly, hey, listen, this is not the model. And the one thing, life lesson, coaching lesson I'll give is, you got to rip off the Band-Aid, right? So if you're going down that rabbit hole, that's not the right one. You have to be humble enough and be smart enough to know and say, listen, you know what, I effed up, I made a mistake, right? Don't continue down that road. We realized we need to put on the brakes and reshift it, and which we did. We went from that point, Dave, we went to a cart mobile model. So we started launching carts and mobile models and also kiosk models in the malls, which all started doing really well. And we realized quickly that was the model to go into and to really do well. Through that process, that took about another year. Again, a lot of life lessons, a lot of learning curves, developing, proofing out the concept, which we finally did. Through that process, we actually did. The Pope came to, I don't know if you remember, the Pope came to Philadelphia. And we did an event there, and we did that event with the Pope. And, I won't get into detailed numbers, but we blew it out of the park. When I say blew it out of the park, we sold more in a day than some of the stores were selling in a month. And we realized, okay, really, it's the mobile concept, food truck concept, that's really where we're really suited for. That's going to do really well. And that kind of catapulted us and made us go into that direction where we are today, which I would say 90% of what we do is mobile food trucks. The other 10 or 15% of what we do are stadiums, what I call non-traditional environments, ballparks and so forth. Like you were talking earlier, that's kind of the other area we play in.
Well, hey, if you're a religious man, maybe you feel like you got blessed that day, right? That is excellent.
Absolutely.
So what year was it that you opened up the retail store when you came back? What year was that?
So we did that in 13, 14. We opened up the retail store. We started franchising, I would say, in the end of 14 to 15. Really 15, we really started like franchising it, getting it off its ground, 15 into 16. And then in end of 16 to 17 is where we converted at that point more to a mobile model. Again, not say we don't do brick and mortar, but it's got to be high foot traffic. It's got to hit certain criteria, which we've learned that it has to fit in this particular criteria. And if it does, then we'll potentially award a franchise at that point. But at that point, we realize, hey, it's got to be a mobile concept. And one thing I want to say is, and if you hear me say it's award. We have a saying at Kono is we award franchises. We don't sell franchises. It's a privilege to be part of our family and to be part of the Kono Pizza family. So I don't like to sell. We award. You're part of our family, right? Because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about, Dave. It's all about the relationships, whether it's from the consumer standpoint or the franchisee standpoint to the franchisor. It's all about building those proper relationships. And you can't do that if your culture is not built on that. So again, there's nothing wrong with selling. I sell all day long. I love selling. But I like the word award.
Yeah, I noticed you used that word when you were just talking, and I was like, that's a great way to say it. That you're not selling it. You're helping them with their life and their business, therefore awarding them an opportunity. I love it. So I think there's an interesting point here, though. So you said 2013 is when you started. So here we are 6 years later, and I just think that's an important lesson for business owners, especially small business entrepreneurs, to realize that the endurance that sticking with it. I mean, here you are. We're going to talk a little bit more. You are a seasoned entrepreneur. You've had 3 or 4 very successful businesses. You know what you are doing. Yet it was not an overnight success for you. In fact, you probably still feel like you're starting out, like just starting out 6 years later. You learned what worked, what didn't work. You refined the model, got it better and better. And now, now you're probably getting the flywheel turning pretty well this past year or year and a half, and really starting to expand with franchising now. But it's been a good 5 and 6 year journey for you to really perfect and figure out the model, correct?
100%. And that's a great point that you raised, and that is the biggest, one of the biggest life lessons I try to impart on early stage entrepreneurs. And I know we'll kind of piggyback to Avanti, and the reason why I got involved with Avanti is teaching, that early stage person that patience. And I use the word patience because, listen, when I was in my 20s and my 30s, I wasn't patient, and I made a ton of errors and mistakes. And today in my 40s, I'm able to talk about them, and I survived them. But without question, you need to be patient. And what I say is, move fast, but with a long-term vision. So now I still move as fast as I did when I was into my 20s and 30s, but my thought process or my decision-making is all based on a long-term vision. Does this fit long-term in what we want to do? Where back in the day, and I would say, especially early-stage entrepreneurs, they're looking, the 10 feet in front of them. It's always 10 feet in front of you. Let me get to here. Let me get to this point. Let me get to the next point. You still need that pace, but you need to have that vision in your head. Like, hey, where do I want my company in 12, 36, 5 years down the road? What does my exit look like? Those are serious questions, and you really need to ask them right from the get-go is, what is my exit? And do I want to even exit, right? I know I'm kind of jumping ahead, but, do you even want to exit? You may want to keep this company for the next 20 or 30 years. That's fine if you want to, but that conversation needs to happen, and you need to surround yourself around the right people. If you don't know it, one thing I've always been networking, building relationships, and obviously that's how me and you met, of course, is if I didn't know something, I went to the source, right? Who was doing it better than me? Who was kicking butt? I want to go be humble, go there with my notebook and take notes. And like, what are you doing that I'm not doing? How are you achieving your goals? So that is definitely, to answer your question, that is something, without question, is having that patience, because it does take time. And your point, even in 6 years later, I still have another 5 more years to go to really hit perfection. We've done a lot of great things. We've perfected the model tremendously, but I still have a ton of work to do, right? I'm still not good at X, Y, and Z. And that's just my personal, driver that nothing is perfect to me.
No, thank you for that. And I think it's just reassuring to know that a seasoned entrepreneur like you is still figuring it out. The journey, the learning is never done. What I'm really interested too is, so you talk about Carlo, your business partner, and a friend, and you call him a brother. And how is that dynamic? How do you balance each other out? What is he good at? And what are you good at? How do you make that work?
So great question. So one thing I say is for everybody, and not saying this works for everyone, but, finding your business partner, we were business partners first and then became best friends. And I think that is a huge distinction. I think a lot of people, or a lot of early stage entrepreneurs, go into business with their friends and or family because they want that support and they want that trust, and they need someone to kind of lean on. And I think that, I'm not saying that you don't do that, but that's not always the best approach. You need to, as an entrepreneur, you're going to have some good days, you're going to have some bad days, you're going to have some dark days, right? So you need to have thick skin and have the mental capacity and the will and the drive to really know that, believe in what you're doing and you're going to achieve goals. And, I've been fortunate, he's been fortunate that we found a great partnership, and, it's 12 years in the making that we're partners. And through that process, we became best friends, which I think is the best way to do it, because it wasn't, again, best friends that, hey, let's start this business up and let's see what happens. So, I think it's a good dynamic. So we joke around, it's the gas and the brake. So Carlo's the gas and I'm the brake. So, that's how we kind of even each other out, where I'm more of the execution, operations, getting things done. He is more of the vision and the driver, and kind of just, throwing 10 things out. And I kind of go through the 10 things. All right, this makes sense. This doesn't make sense. But the one thing I will say, Dave, is, and again, I feel, humbly, and I've been fortunate, is we could flip-flop roles. But we're humble enough to know what our strengths and weaknesses is. Meaning, Carlo could come sit in my role and he could be the brake at times and I could be the gas at times. And I think that's what makes, like any relationship, right? If you're married, whoever your significant other is. It's having that balance that, what the other person's thinking without even saying something. And there are some meetings we go into. There are some vendors we deal with where, good cop, bad cop, or gas or brake that we go into. And just, it's being humble to realize, Dave, all I care about is making sure that Kono Pizza is as successful as possible. If that's me being the forefront, great. If that's him being the forefront, great. If that's one of our employees or our CFO or our director of operations taking the point and they have the glory, it doesn't matter to me, right? The ultimate goal is making sure the consumer has the best experience possible, making sure our franchisees are successful in making money, and then we win, right? Those two successes is our success. How we get there, I don't care who the person is.
Dave, I love it. I think every person listening to this podcast should hit the button that rewinds this 30 seconds, hit it about 4 times and listen to that again. So important, Dave. It's not about you. It's not about Carlo. It's not about your egos. It is about the company, and whoever has to play, whatever role you have to play to make that happen, that is what you do. You have an ego, you're very talented, but you keep your ego in your back pocket for the sake of the growth and the success of the company. And I love it. And you look, we work with Carl Gold, right? Our buddy Carl. And he's a great, master sales coach, mentor, one of the first Tony Robbins certified coaches, now runs 7-Stage Advising, one of my partners in Avanti. He talks about that all the time too, that, successful companies are the ones that really have that relationship, like you and Carlo. It's almost like I call it the Walt Disney and the Roy Disney, right? Walt was the mad scientist, the visionary, the crazy idea guy. And Roy was saying, all right, let's think about this. Let's say no for now. And sometimes they did and sometimes they didn't, right? I'm sure Epcot sounded like a crazy idea. I'm sure Disneyland and Disney World sounded like crazy ideas, right? And Roy was probably like, all right, before we just jump into this and do it, let's think this through a little bit more. And which made it for like allowing the cream to rise to the top, right? And so very, very important to have that yin and yang relationship.
The last point I'm going to make is, and that's a great point, Dave. The last point I'm going to make is that's what people need to realize too, is you need to surround yourself around good, whether it's partners or team members of your organization. And obviously when you're starting off small, you can't scale as quick. You can't build a team like that, but that's where Avanti and other opportunities make sense, to surround yourself around quality people. Because again, the last example I give is, people see Microsoft and they think of who? Bill Gates, right? But there's Steve Ballmer behind the scenes, right? There's key guys that are helping. It's not just Bill, but again, he's the face that everyone sees. But there's 15 other key executives that built Microsoft and has continued to build Microsoft, as an example, where it is today. And that's the biggest thing, is you need to have a team. It's so crucial and so important to have a team around you. Not to say that you are not the driver and you're not the visionary and you're not doing, wearing multiple hats, especially as an early stage entrepreneur. But as a tip, and again, if I would rewind, I would surround myself around higher quality people that are going to help me elevate my game. That's the most important thing.
I love it. So thank you so much for that advice, Dave. You're like a real live, entrepreneurial advice machine. And I know that you're very, excited and open to people contacting you. So we're going to have all your contact information in the show notes, and you'll give out your email and all that stuff. You're on LinkedIn a lot like me, David Ragosa, and not Ragosa, right? Ragosa. And so, Dave, so now you, like we said before, reached out to me on LinkedIn, sent me a nice message about Avanti, and tell us, why did Avanti catch your eye? I'm sure it wasn't my picture on LinkedIn, right? and why did you decide to become a regional director? What is your goal for being involved with Avanti?
So first and foremost, the word Avanti, right? So obviously, being from Italian roots, Avanti meaning in Italian means move forward. That definitely struck me and struck, something personal to me. I'm like, all right, I like that. Second was, you've spoken about this. I was always looking to start, I don't want to say a think tank, but a group that could help early stage entrepreneurs impact their lives, truly impact their lives, and make them move the needle forward in every aspect, whether it's sales and marketing, operations, raising capital. There's so many things that are thrown at you as an entrepreneur that you have to deal with, that you need a support system. So I was always looking for that. And as I said earlier in this conversation, what do I do when I want to find something? I want to find the right person who's been doing it. So I reached out to you. I said, all right, here's Dave. He started Avanti Entrepreneur Network. He's uber successful. He's opening a whole bunch of chapters. Again, you said earlier too, you have that flywheel, make the flywheel go faster. That's what I want to do. I didn't want to reinvent the flywheel. I just wanted to make the flywheel go faster. So therefore I reached out to you. Me and you had some really good conversations, and I wanted to hear what your philosophy was and what your thought process was, what was to Avanti, aligned to what my thought process and my philosophy was. And that's, again, helping early stage entrepreneurs and business executives expand and grow and build, and really giving them a platform and a place that they can come in. One thing I'll say is, again, I go back to, it's lonely. This is real talk, right? It's lonely sometimes being an entrepreneur. Sometimes your friend, your family, your husband, your wife, you can't talk to them about bad days, good days, and some of the challenges you're going through. So this is also an organization that not only can you go and talk to them about your challenges, but it's also about the solutions. And I use the word impact, and that was most important. Is we were providing, and you guys and Dave, you were providing them solutions to their problems. So part of what we do is obviously called the hot seat. If no one knows, it's bringing in one person in the group per peer group to sit down and talk about your challenges that you've had, whether it's in your business or your personal life. And as a group, we're talking about that, but we're not just talking about it just to talk about it. We're giving you somewhat of advice of, hey, listen, this is how you fix this problem, or this is how I personally have been through that problem, and this is what I did to fix the problem. And kind of gave you some type of tutelage and knowledge. And that to me is powerful.
That's excellent. Well, you're doing a great job down there, Dave. So glad to have you as one of my first partners here in Avanti, running a great chapter. And you brought in another friend who's going to start another group, another Avanti peer group down there that's going to be a little bit more focused on technology. Excited for that as well. Dave, I try to keep these around a half an hour because, as you know, the attention span of the entrepreneur. So, before we go, I would love to hear about if the audience, the listeners, the Avanti family here wants to learn more about you, get in touch with you, whether it's learning about Kono, learning about Avanti, or just want to, really reach out to you for some business advice, right? I mean, right now, you are accessible, and before you become the next Tony Robbins, when it's going to be really hard to get a hold of you, now's the time, folks. Dave has the time for you, so it's a good time to reach out. So what are the best ways, websites, emails, all that good stuff to find you?
So great. So the two best ways to find me is on LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn all the time. I believe it's a tremendous platform. It's a platform that I play in. So it's my name, David, D-A-V-I-D, Ragosa, R-A-G-O-S-A, or you can email me at david@kono, KONO, and I respond to everybody. You can private message me on LinkedIn. Again, I get back to everybody. I do get a lot of inquiries and comments and questions about some of the postings I do for Avanti, and just kind of help. The last thing I'll say, Dave, is I've also been fortunate to really hook up with Dave Meltzer, who I believe you know as well. And one of his themes is, how can I be of service? And that's what I love and that's what I love that you do. And that's what I love that I do is, how can we be of service, right? With no expectations. I'm not looking to get anything out of it. And I think that's why this relationship works and the Avanti relationship works. And just in general in life, I believe in just how can I be of service with no expectations, just helping people move and just be successful in their life. It to me has become, and as I've gotten older, it's become a passion and something I really care about.
Well, Dave, you're very inspiring. I'm very glad you have the mindset to give back. Truly appreciate you and your spirit. I was thinking here, so this is going to come out obviously in 2019. And so how many franchises do you have now? And what is your goal for the next year? And then we could check back on this podcast for accountability. How's that sound?
Yeah, perfect. So currently right now we have 12 franchise units open. We have another 4 that are going to be opened up in the next 6 weeks. And my goal is to have 30 franchise units opened by the end of 2019.
Awesome. That is super, super fantastic. Well, I got to tell you, I just had the founder of Orange Theory Fitness, Ellen Latham, who's going to be speaking at the Avanti Live Summit, October 16th, 17th, and 18th. And so 10 years ago, she had exactly 0 franchises. In fact, didn't even want a franchise, wasn't even thinking about it. And so one of her members she had this health club called Ultimate Fitness or the Ultimate Workout, and said, my husband does franchising, you should talk to him. And she said no 3 times and finally decided to talk to him. So 10 years later, they have over 1,200 franchises now all over the world, and they're just valued at $1 billion. So Dave, I look forward to keeping in touch with you as a friend and an Avanti partner here to watch your very similar rise as we get Kono all over the country.
No, I appreciate that, and I appreciate your support and help. And that goal, our goal is 1,000 in 10 years.
Awesome. All right, get one to Rochester. Well, yeah, I'm ready.
We're working on it.
All right, Dave. Thank you so much. Wish you massive continued success, and look forward to seeing you soon.
Awesome. Thank you.
And thank you, Avanti family. Appreciate you listening to the Avanti Entrepreneur Podcast. Hey, if you want to listen to other podcasts that I've done, I have over 100 now. I've been doing this for almost 3 years. Go to AvantiEntrepreneur.com. They're all there, folks, the recordings, the show notes. And additionally, you can learn more about what we're doing. Specifically, like I said, our Avanti Live Summit coming up in October 16th, 17th, and 18th. 3 days of incredible collaboration, networking, learning, incredible speakers. Like I said, Ellen Latham from Orange Theory Fitness, Carl Gold, who we were talking about, so many other great speakers. Go to our website, AvantiEntrepreneur.com. You can see everything right there, and would love to meet you at Avanti Live Summit. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you so much. And of course, make sure to stay awesome.
Thank you for listening. Head over to AvantiEntrepreneurGroup.com for show notes and more helpful advice from entrepreneurs like you. Continue to find your entrepreneurial rhythm at the Avanti Entrepreneur Podcast.